everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Janae Struther.
I'm Sean Spencer.
Back.
We are back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I gotta go out and hold up.
Come on. The lion. The lion. New music, so funny. Kirk Cousins.
All right. I am Janae Struther.
I'm Sean Spencer.
And this is Let's Talk Football.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Sean Spencer, one half of that dynamic duo that is Let's Talk Football. And you know what day it is. It's Wednesday, baby. Happy Hump Day!
It's Thursday.
It is Thursday.
Sorry, buddy.
Yeah, but I mean, it was Wednesday. I'm trying to hope like this was yesterday. We weren't with you yesterday. It is Thursday. It's been a long week, as you can see. And you see who's with me, my guy that always has my back. There he is right there. South Carolina's most wanted, Will Kramer. What up, Will?
Oh, man, we're happy to be back. It's been a couple weeks. In the meantime, our family has had stomach bugs and snot runs and eye infections. Yep. And I mean, we've been running through the gamut. So I appreciate your flexibility and pushing things back a little bit, letting us get through it. It seems like it's been a while. And but I'm happy in the meantime, there's been some developments with our franchise. So I'm happy to be back to talking.
Oh, there have definitely been things that have transpired, whether it be through the coaches or whether it be off the field or even through some of the players. You know, we have OTAs going on. We have a new stadium that, you know, they purchased all the land. We talked about that. And, hey, Roger Goodell and our owner might be held accountable for some of that. So we will definitely dive into all of that. But look, as you know, when we start the show, we Washington Football Weekly have to start shouting out the people we love, we care about. We got to shout out some birthdays. Real quick, I'm going to go first. Ladies and gentlemen, I put up a post earlier. If you know one of the many hosts of Let's Talk Football, and this one, the Let's Talk Football Ladies Takeover, Katie Alverson, her daughter, 17-year-old Nora Alverson, just finished her junior year. Happy birthday to you. Going into your senior year, she is extremely intelligent. She is bright. She's amazing. Great person. Great sense of humor. Wanted to say happy birthday to you from us. Hope you had the best day ever, for sure.
Yeah, happy birthday. Oh, man. Summer of senior year, man. You're on top of the world there. Man, those are some good memories.
Oh, yeah. Got some memories, no doubt. And real quick, one other person, the father of the Walsh boys, Dylan and Colin Walsh, Steve Walsh's birthday's today. Want to say happy birthday to you. Avid car enthusiast, diehard Steelers fan. Shout out to this guy, cool guy. We go over to their house every year for the Super Bowl, every other year for the Super Bowl. And they always have a nice little spread with like whatever the big dish from each of the cities is.
I love that.
Yeah. So last year it was Cincinnati chili, and then I think it was some seafood from California, stuff like that. So it was pretty dope. It was nice.
Cool idea. That's such a cool idea.
Oh, yeah. And then, you know, it helps they have a big screen TV. So we're always like, oh, yeah, we're good.
Yeah,
we'll come.
I'll be there. Yeah,
I'll definitely be there. Right. Yeah. But, yo, do you have any birthdays you'd like to shout out?
I do. Right. We got a big birthday tomorrow in our household. My wife, Trisha, will be turning 30.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, and actually, we were supposed to be up in Virginia at this time celebrating. My mom will also be turning. It's just they share a birthday.
Oh, nice.
So Carol Kramer and them. We were supposed to have a joint celebration. One of my nieces caught the vid. And so we've had to kind of hit a pause on what we're going to do about that.
It's still around.
So Trish and I have no plans right now. I was just writing her card today. I finally had to go get it. We were supposed to be up there. I thought I was in the clear. So we got to figure out what our birthday celebrations are going to be. But it'll be fun. She's taking the day off. She deserves it.
Yes.
I will tell her. I told her, I was like, oh, sweet. Well, I'll be working from home and you'll be home. And she was like, no, leave me alone.
No.
So
Yep.
so she deserves it.
Yes.
She needs some time away. She's been having to deal with with me and the boys, and she needs a day to relax.
Oh yes. Happy birthday to you, Trisha, the real MVP, right?
The glue.
You know, and I appreciate you because you've given me Will for the last year and a half to do this show. We get a little loud, but hey, appreciate your support.
We haven't gotten in trouble in a while though. We're doing good.
Right. Not since the draft? Was it the draft?
Yeah. We just cut down a lot.
Oh yeah. Definitely. You guys. Well, happy birthday to you. Definitely love it. Did want to update everybody. We talked about the end of our last show. Our dear friend Jen Rieger was battling stage 4 cancer. Unfortunately, she lost that battle. We want to just say rest in peace to Jen Rieger. She was an angel on earth, and she is back up with the angels now. I want to send prayers to the family, but not just the family. Jen was loved by many people. I mean, I interacted with her a limited amount of times in the grand scheme of life or whatever, but each time that we hung out, it was a fun time, and it was just she was somebody that you don't forget. You don't forget when you're with them. And so Kat, her sister, all of them are really kind of going through right now. So just keep them lifted up, and it's like you saw it coming, but it's still, when it happens, it doesn't cut any less.
Finality hurts still.
Yeah. So, we send our prayers to that family, but, we're going to live on the memory, live on all the good times, all the pictures, all the memories. Hey, RIP from us to you, definitely great person.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, Will, we are here. It's Washington Football Weekly on Thursday
night edition.
Oh, yeah. And rightfully so, because there has been no shortage of, things going on in the news, and we know the normal stuff. Dan Snyder, Terry McLaurin, you know what I mean? He seems to populate it. Lately, it's been Terry McLaurin. We'll talk about that. But somebody else hijacked the news recently.
Oh, I see what you did there.
You like that? Jack Del Rio is in the news for some controversial comments. And ladies and gentlemen, before we talk about it, we're going to go ahead and play the clip just in case you did not see it. He is referring to kind of a lot of the things that have been going on, and the House committee is doing with the January 6th talks about the insurrection and kind of going through all their investigation, all their findings.
Sure.
And so he was discussing that, and then kind of referencing how, that wasn't as big of a deal in his opinion towards the riots and everything that had happened after the George Floyd. But the word that got him in trouble was that he called the January 6th incident a dust up.
That was a dust up.
A dust up. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this clip and let you see for yourself.
Down to it. What did I ask? A simple question. Why are we not looking into those things? If we're going to talk about it, why are we not looking into those things? Because it's kind of hard for me to say. I can realistically look at it. I see the images on TV. People's livelihoods are being destroyed. Businesses are being burned down. No problem. And then we have a dust up at the Capitol. Well, there's nothing burned down. And we're not going to talk about, we're going to make that a major deal. I just think it's kind of two standards. And if we apply the same standard and we're going to be reasonable with each other, let's have a discussion.
Delilah, I agree with you. She said, what was Del Rio thinking? Will, I'm going to let you go ahead and go talk and let me stew on this for a second, man. What do you think, man? What are your reactions?
Really stupid on his part. Very, very ignorant to recognize where he's at. Some of his talking points is not something new. It's those were going around during the protest, around George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and then Kenosha. Like, I mean, that was happening. There was that feeling was out there.
Yeah.
But his comparison is weak, it's just in general. But what makes it really stupid is he can have that opinion. All right. Keep that out of the press conference.
Right.
Keep that when you're at home talking to people, around folks who maybe feel the same way you do.
Right.
But that time and place for him to be saying something like that, where, I mean, I disagree with how he characterized it. But more importantly, you are in a profession that is led where you are supposed to be the leaders of predominantly young Black males.
Yep.
And you're sitting here kind of downplaying what happened over the last couple of years in this country, where Black people are feeling upset over how they've been treated, and they're voicing their opinions, and you're trying to you're not connecting with who you're supposed to be working with. And that's a big concern. That's a really big concern. I'm real curious to see what happens from this, what Ron does about this. I know he gave his apology, but that was bull.
Right.
It came too quick.
Right. But
it's like you were forced.
Right. And even in the apology, he apologized for essentially saying dust up, saying that, the whole situation was a dust up. And he still stood behind his beliefs and his stance on the entire subject. So that lets you know how much weight the apology really held. And then you sit here and think about it, and you're like, wait a minute, my real concern with it is just the bravado that he had in it. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, they're destroying businesses, and this is just nothing. This was an attempted coup on our government.
Right.
And is that nothing?
Right.
So, but to your point, you are in a situation, you are in a position where you are working with young men, happens to be majority young African-American men, who are now very, very aware of the situations and everything going around with social media and everything right at your fingertips. You got to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not be naive. Okay. There are a lot of coaches that have been around the game for a long period of time that have kind of some of these beliefs and some of this stuff that's fine. But I think the main point is if you keep that off the field, but once you start talking about it openly, it's just a bravado that he had. That just kind of like this is how I feel. What? And it's like,
you want to know this is what I think. I'm going to quote Laura Ingraham when she talked to LeBron James. Jack Del Rio needs to stick to sports in his press conferences.
He said, "Shut up and dribble." Is that what he said? Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially when your product on the field is not one to be proud of.
Come on now.
It is one thing when you are an elite athlete, an elite performer, people are willing to put up with your bull. Mm-hmm. I think back to when he was on the Eagles and T.O. was doing those sit-ups and stuff, but he was dominating on Sundays. Exactly. So they dealt with the personality. But Jack Del Rio has no leg to stand on with this because his team only started playing well in year one when they started going up against Nick Mullins and Gucci DiNucci in Dallas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so that was a farce. And we thought, oh, here comes our defense is good. And then last year you had to play against quality quarterbacks and your defense got shredded. Yeah. You're ranked very low. So you've got some work to do.
Yeah.
You don't need to be saying this stuff. And this isn't the first time either. Exactly.
And again, like that's what it was brought up that he had said it, I think in 2016, 2017, around when Trump was in office, just kind of like, I'm an American. If you don't like it, you can leave, or, that type of stuff. And it's like, it just seems real combative. Like that seems like you coming at people like that. Let me see. Nathan said Dr. Real definitely lose some respect in the locker room. That's quite interesting.
Yeah.
The fact that you can come out with those comments lets me know you have a lot of ignorance and needs education.
Yeah. If he's willing to.
Right. If he doesn't think he's in the wrong, he doesn't think there's any need for education.
Right.
Now those men in the locker room know exactly how it feels. Yeah, honestly, this type of thing and just kind of the bravado they had in the press conference leads me to believe that this isn't something that's hidden. You know what I mean? There's a certain type that just they wear it on their sleeve. So I don't think this was something hidden. But they alluded, Nathan and Delilah, they alluded to the locker room.
Yeah.
That's something that we have talked about and we have wondered about. Like, how is the locker room feeling? Now, one of the spokesmen of the team, Jonathan Allen, one of the captains, they NBC Sports Washington interviewed him. In his opinion, he said he felt it wasn't a locker room topic. He said, everybody's entitled to their opinions. Some guys decide to share it on Twitter. Some guys don't. You have a difference of opinion. Still respect one another. I feel that's what our country's about. That's what the team is about. I don't care about his opinion as long as he shows up every day and works hard. That's what I want from my DC. Now, my question to you, Will, is that the captain doing what he's supposed to do and saying what he's supposed to say? Or is that a football player saying, look, we're here for this. If you have that opinion, that's you. But as long as you come and we're respecting one-on-one, I'm good. Like, what do you think about that?
I know it's really interesting when Jonathan came out. That I was trying to think the same thing, and it's hard for us to know because that locker room is sacred, and they try not to let a lot leak out. I think there's some parts to what he has to say that is true.
Yeah,
we got to also recognize you and I are at some point, almost 20 years older than some of these players.
Yeah.
Some of our interests in life may be a lot different than they were. Because let's think about us when we were in our early 20s. Were we really paying attention to the January 6 hearings that are going on right now? Did we care all that much?
Really?
Maybe not. Now, there's some bigger issues going on that might, the protests, what's happened to some Americans here might have caught our attention more. But you still may be dealing with younger men who aren't as interested in politics or in social issues. So it may be we don't care what you think. I may not agree with you, but you put me in the right position to play and we're fine.
Right. And
who knows what happens in that locker room? I mean, what we don't know, maybe they call him Lily White Jack, maybe they know how he, like you said, how he feels, and behind closed doors, they make fun of him, for his opinions, for being a Trumpy and MAGA and all that stuff, too. And so they're able to go about it, which I can only hope, because I really question how he's going to keep a hold of this locker room.
Yeah.
And I have been on this show for more than a year, especially last fall when the defense was struggling, putting a lot more blame on the players not fitting the scheme than the coach. Mm-hmm. But here's a situation where I'm like, the coach is out of line right here in what he's doing. And I'm real curious, how are they going to respond to this?
Yeah. And, like you said, we know what Jonathan said was interesting. Rivera said, I'm not going to discuss this. If it becomes an issue later on, then we'll address it then. Everybody's saying the right things, but it's really, it just makes you like, when you say this type of stuff, there's the professional view and then there's the personal view. And these guys are all, a lot of them have, wear the badge on their sleeve. They're really about the movement, about the Black Lives Matter and all those things. And for him to just categorize it as he did, it really kind of, it's kind of like, okay, now I see where you stand.
Uh-huh.
Now I know where you are.
I see whose side you're on.
Right. You know what I mean? And it makes you wonder because, again, this is a business. They're getting paid. These guys are getting paid, more than him, some of them. So it's kind of like, all right. You're not waving the flag out here, but, you are talking kind of slick. But I think it does beg the question. One of the things we've talked about before, should he be fired for those comments? I don't think so. I don't think you can. Like I said, to me, I think it's naive for us to think this type of stuff has not been littered all throughout football for years and years and years. And I understand how much we've progressed, but we ain't progressed that far in some certain things.
Right.
So, but what do you think? Do you think he should be fired for it? What are you thinking?
Should be. I don't know if I can go that far, but could be. Absolutely. I think Ron needs to be, taking the pulse of the locker room and really finding out, are these players going to respond to this guy? Because if they're not, if they actually are behind closed doors ticked off at him, then yeah, he does need to go. Because obviously it's only going to be worse in the fall if they're not willing to, do what he says. Here's what's interesting. This is a big part. I'm really watching Ron here, because you can't come out here and blame players on discipline and saying you need to have a certain culture when you've got a defensive coordinator, one of your top coaches can't shut his mouth and he can't stop his thumbs from tapping on Twitter. Right. That you've got a loose cannon here that you've got to get under control. So Ron, you can sit here and say you're not going to get into it, but you better be figuring things out inside that building. Yeah. And it needs to be, can this guy survive this? And can we work together? Because if not, I hope he's got the stones to send him packing and figure this out. Because, like I said, this is a big year for Ron. Year 3, they need to be playing well. And this is not to a good part, and he was so quick to complain about Montez and Chase Young last year, not attending OTAs. Well, here at OTAs, we got a coach that's going off the rails. Yeah. There needs to be the same type of accountability here.
Yeah. It needs to be checked immediately.
Yeah.
Because if it does not, this could be something that can linger, like what the whole COVID stuff last year and what it ended up happening, and it ended up rearing its ugly head midway through the season. These type of things are things that can linger if you do not check them immediately.
Right.
And you know what? I think Nathan said it perfect. It's not a good look. It's not. We talked last time we were on here about, guys not wanting to come here. And it's for stuff like this.
Right.
You know what I mean? We got to stop this stuff.
Yeah. And I think Nathan's got a good point where he says they need to have a locker room conversation and keep it moving. And I think that's exactly it. If they have an airing out, and things are okay, then you do move on and you squash it and you tell the media, I'm not going to talk about you about this. We're handling this in-house, but if it doesn't seem like that could happen, then actions need to be taken. Which stinks, because I've always been a Jack Del Rio proponent. I've seen how he gets promoted to head coach because of what he does as defensive coordinator. Right. So I thought he was a good hire.
Right. I loved him with the Jags. I loved him what he did with the Raiders. You know what I mean? And even in 2016, he stood up for Marshawn Lynch when Marshawn Lynch took a knee during the whole the flags, the Star Spangled Banner thing. He stood up to him against Trump and everything like that. So it's like, okay, maybe he's an ally, but it's, this type of thing, it just stings. It doesn't surprise me, but it's like, all right, man.
Right.
Now I know. I know.
Right.
So hey, at the end of the day, Delilah says, I think you're right. They probably do make fun of him, but if they do poke at him, do they follow him as a leader? And that's where I think the locker room conversation comes in, where it's like, look, it's the players. We're here together. He's going to put us in the positions we need to be in, but, it's us. It's on us. So
right.
We'll see. We'll see how he plays out. But, ladies and gentlemen, that definitely is going on. But, look, amid all of that, OTAs is in full swing.
It's
Third
football.
week has been going on. Oh, I love it. You're starting to see a little bit of action, a little bit, some deep balls. Some balls are being thrown. That wide receiver group looking nice. Mr. Wentz was looking nice. Had a rough Wednesday, but so we shall definitely see. Will, what are your thoughts on early OTAs?
Yeah. So very first thing is, I can't believe I'm gonna say this, Sean. Those helmets pop.
They do. I've noticed it. Noticed it. and
I don't know if it's only because we've had 2 years of just red shell. Right. And now we've got some gold on there and some things that make it look like us. But the helmets look real good out there. So that was my first thing. And some of the newcomers are starting to shine. Now I will say this. You don't need to, it's not take what happened at OTA with a grain of salt. You need to take the entire bag of salt when you take this, because the OTAs are made for the offense. The defense is not allowed to hit. You're not allowed to get physical at all. So if your offense is struggling during this, you've got major problems.
Right.
So we're going to get some positive, some positive reports about the offense, or we should, if things are going well. But we're starting to see hearing some real good things about our newcomers. Even so far to say, I know we're going to get into QB1, a little bit here, and QB3 as well when we get to him. But I've even heard them talk a little bit about how the under the radar offensive linemen, Andrew Norwell and Trey Turner, are looking good together. They're a different type of offensive lineman. They're not as big as Sheriff was. They're a little bit more athletic, and they also know this offense.
Yeah.
So they're coming in acclimated.
Right.
There we go. And they were talking about, they were showing some of the different blocking schemes for the running backs are already different. So that's kind of interesting. A little unheralded one. They talk about Brian Robinson looks big.
Yeah.
They say he's a thumper.
Yeah.
They're like, and they say, and already Gibson's a little nicked. He was on the sideline yesterday. So it's like
him and Samuel.
Yeah, I know. Don't like that.
Come on, man.
So it's like already you're seeing some dividends as to why they picked this guy in the third round. So it's kind of you're hearing some good things. Now there's some more to go over, but I want to give you a chance to talk about what's standing out to you and what are you hearing so far?
So one of the things you said was that, this OTAs is mainly for offense. One of the things recently that's been going on, and especially happened on Wednesday, the defense, especially the secondary, is shining. We talk on Wednesday, they had 2 interceptions and a number of pass breakups, and they've been actually kind of looking better. And they've been saying, one of the guys that we discussed last year, Benjamin St-Juste, he only got in for about 9 games, with the injuries and whatnot. They're saying his length, his size, his foot speed. This guy is coming in here playing. Sean Springs, our old corner, he also played for the Seattle Seahawks. He says he always calls him baby Richard Sherman, because this guy, right, which is high praise. And this guy, he's been balling out, and they really are liking what they see. So in McCain is they say he's been kind of taking over the veteran presence now that Landon Collins is not there. Okay. Cam Curl has been finding his voice. Yeah. You know what I mean? And a lot has been said about, Percy Butler, as the steal of the draft. Like, you were telling me earlier. So that's secondary, which is a hole that we definitely addressed. It's really looking nice. There've been some nice things that I've heard about that. And outside of that, wide receiver group.
Yeah.
Jahan Dotson, from what I hear, he's as advertised.
Legit.
I love that.
You
know what I mean? Again, like you said, this is OTAs. It's tailored to the offense, things of that nature. But I've heard that him and Carson Wentz, up until this Wednesday, have been really, back and forth. Yes. They have been on par, getting it together. And I that's what I want to hear. That's what I want to hear at this time of the year. But yeah, no, I'm excited about that. My guy, I don't know if you heard in that Wednesday practice, my guy De'Ami Brown took a nice shot when Reeves hit him. Glad to hear Reeves' name, but De'Ami Brown now out with a shoulder injury, and Ron was even ticked about that. He's like, he was like, "Are you effing kidding me? Like, what are y'all doing out here?" So. Yes. I'm glad to see, though, that they're going up there and they're fighting hard for it. But that secondary really, really has me kind of like, okay, because that's something we need. If we can get a no-fly zone, I think our D-line will take care of the rest. Right.
Yeah. No, I've heard that about the safety position, too, and how, they said Cam Curl's looking like a stud. I mean, now he's in year 3. He's even more comfortable. He's playing that Buffalo nickel role and doing well with it. That's exciting to hear. And you wonder about him and Derek, or Percy Butler and Derek Forrest that we don't really hear a lot about. What have they seen? So that's good. Yeah. The receivers, there's almost a slight blessing in disguise with Terry out. because Jahan Dotson and De'Ami Brown have gotten a lot of chance to work with this new quarterback of theirs. And you've got a rookie getting a chance to get his feet wet in the NFL on his first practices and getting thrown to it and create a rapport. One of the things that I saw, I heard from somebody that is a Penn State fan is like, his catch radius and the plays he makes. And there was the clip they had where, the ball was thrown behind him and he jumps up, twists his body, he makes sure he secures the catch, he still makes the play. Yeah. So that's what Dotson's looking like he's looking like a player. They even said up until this recent sidelines that Curtis Samuel was back looking good. And the reporter said, you see the speed, you see the difference making that he can do. You see why they're excited to get him. And, it's like we kept talking all off season, like, well, do we need to get rid of him? And it's like, we need a season with him. To really see what can do. And then your boy De'Ami, and I'm hoping that this is the year that not only does he got a quarterback who can hit him, but he's going to get forgotten and he's going to get past people.
Sneak out the field. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Get paired up against that nickel corner or against a linebacker where all of a sudden he's breaking open and the speed is there.
Exactly.
He just needs the opportunity.
Right. He needs someone who doesn't have a noodle arm to get it to him.
Right, right.
So let's talk quarterbacks here, okay?
Oh,
because it is exciting. What are your thoughts so far?
Well, look, like I mentioned earlier, I've heard a lot of good things and seen a lot of good things from Wentz getting his time with De'Ami Brown, getting his time with Jahan Dotson. He's been looking crisp. One of the things that I really like is that he's been kind of figuring out the offense, but not being so big and bad that he's not taking instruction. If he's messing up, he's going back to, Scott Turner, going back to the huddle. Okay, what is it that you're looking for? What is it I'm supposed to be looking for? And figures out what he did not do correctly. Wednesday aside, I am really excited about what I've been hearing from Carson Wentz and just how he's kind of getting acclimated to the team with the receivers. I like it. I heard some great things about my guy Sam. I heard some great things earlier about him, is that he was really hitting him. It's just he had this moxie about him. He had this kind of bravado, this kind of the swagger about him that he was taking out there, and I like that. That's good. Unfortunately, that's it. I haven't heard much else. I've heard Heineke has been actually kind of coming along recently. Yeah. And so with that, Heineke's played. I kind of let's let Heineke come in there. How you just sit back and learn, sit back and do what you. Yeah, I know. I've been doing a lot of looking at it, and then when De'Ami got hurt today or yesterday, I was like, oh my goodness, it's just not our year yet. Give us time. North Carolina will rise again, but no, I honestly think Carson is really doing what he needs to do, and let him continue to get connected with his wide receiver. And like you said, I think it could be a blessing in disguise that Terry's not there, because you're right. He is getting to feel his other receivers, and he's also getting to feel his tight end. Your boy is going off.
Yeah.
They all love Mr. Cole Turner. I'm loving that. And there's something.
Let's get into a whole segment there. Don't go too far.
Okay. We'll get into that later. But yeah, Wentz is definitely looking nice. And the 2-3, it's going to be interesting. But I potentially think Heineke might move back into that 2 role.
Man. Sean, you got to understand this. And for folks, if you're watching or if you're listening later on, I wore my Heineke shirt today for a reason.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Because I swore that Sean was gonna hear how Sam Howell was coming out with some moxie. They were saying he's Taylor Heineke with a stronger arm, and he was going to start hitting it like he's number 2. He's the future. He's number 2. And I was going to say, no way, pump your brakes. And here you're being rational. That's not fun.
I know.
It's not fun.
Look, I did the research and I was looking over it and I was like, man, I got to be realistic right now. I got to.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because I'm hearing the same things, and I think it's good that Sam Howell shows some good things, early on, and I think it's good that Heineke's playing better now. But let's talk QB1, all right? And I'm hearing the same thing you are from these reporters who, granted, they don't get a lot of time out there in OTAs, and they'll admit it, but they're talking how poised he looks out there, how big he looks, 6'5", and it's he stands over the pocket. He looks like a big guy, but most importantly, he's got a strong arm and he slings it. And they said there's a level of professionalism out here that we haven't had in years, and that's what makes it exciting. They're talking about how there's certain routes and he's zipping it to these receivers, so they better be running the right routes because he's bringing it. So this reminds me, Sean, all the way back. I'm going to go all the way back to 1999. That's what this gives me shades of.
Come on now.
We were kind of down and out in 98. Trent Green showed us a little bit of something, and then we lost him. And it's like, what are we going to do? And Charlie Cass really goes out and pulls this trade for Brad Johnson.
Johnson.
And you just hear this like aura during training camp and stuff like that, where like you could just tell people felt good. And I think we're seeing that. And part of what we're seeing and why this is, Brad Johnson 2.0 is because we've been so bad for so many years, and we have not had a quarterback of the physical ability plus experience of Carson.
And just to that point, ladies and gentlemen, this Will is not lying. I need to show you this. This is a list of all of the quarterbacks that we have had since 2005. You see Brunell, Ramsey, Jason Campbell, Todd Collins, McNabb, Rex Grossman, John the Don Beck.
Oh, gosh.
Kurt for a number of those years. The season at the end. Alex Smith, McCoy, Case Keenum, Dwayne. I mean, look. We've had a number of them, and that's why, and I'm going to send it right back to you real quick. Yeah. We've had a number of them, but I've heard that's why people are saying, why not Carson Wentz? Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's better than what we've had.
He is so much better than what we've had for so many years. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know how many times he's going to throw the ball to the other team right now. Yeah. But for now, we are seeing what a professional quarterback looks like. Mm-hmm. You heard a little bit about this when Alex Smith came in. He had a big command of the offense, even in his new year, and they really talked about his leadership out there. But Alex doesn't have the arm that Carson has. And so you're gonna see this offense is humming, and you can hear they're excited. These receivers are excited. And not only are these receivers excited, there's another position group that's excited about Carson Wentz. So I think we should go into this tight end position and what's happening here.
Yes.
Because it's real interesting what I think what's happened. So we talked in the offseason about what direction we're going to go. Terry's not a possession receiver, but we've turned him into one. And Samuel's small, and De'Ami Brown is a smaller, faster guy. So what are we going to go? And then we went and drafted a smaller wide receiver again, and we were all worried about it. And what you're starting to see from this team is almost like they said, we're going to put speed on the outside, and we're going to use our size on the inside with these tight ends, which also plays with our quarterbacks. One of his favorite targets is big, athletic tight ends. Yep. And you're seeing that now all of a sudden we've got a plethora of tall, athletic tight ends who are receivers who can move, and I know it's almost like, well, maybe this is what the way they decided to design the offense. We've talked about Cole Turner is looking like he's going to come in and make plays. Like he's going to be that put him right off in the slot. Let him do what Jordan Reed used to do. You need that first down. All right. He's going to fake to the right. He's going to come inside right over the middle and throw a slant, and he's going to be that guy. But then there's this other guy. You and I were talking about this. I had never heard of this undrafted guy out of Arizona State named Curtis Hodges.
Yeah.
I was like, who is? And that's what they're like. The reporters are like, this guy's a stud. Like he's a developmental piece. He's 6'8". They say he's athletic. It reminds me of
like an Adonis,
big
like,
dude. Yeah,
yeah.
It's when we had Donald Parham on the team in 2019, Dwayne's rookie year, and they're like, hey, if this is someone that you want to keep around, so there's that. The other thing is the reporters day one said, who in the world is this number 18 out here? He's a big dude. It's AGG.
Yep.
He's turned into a tight end.
Yeah.
And I sent you that little clip that they showed yesterday.
The one-handed catch?
He's running pretty smooth. He might have been slow as all get out of the receiver, but he's moving as a tight end.
Exactly.
You know, so it's kind of interesting. And I heard you and Nate talk about this guy, and I don't know much about him. You take over. You know where I'm going with this. This tight end, this former quarterback. Do you know?
No. Oh, no. Who?
Armani Rogers.
Nate told me about him. Amari Rogers. He was saying that this guy he's really looking for him. I had not actually heard about him.
Me neither.
I was going to say something about Logan Thomas. No, I hadn't heard about this guy, but he kept saying him, and I'm sitting here like, oh, because Hodges was somebody that's on my list. Obviously, Cole Turner. We got Bates, you know, and I was kind of going back and forth on those guys, and he kept saying Amari Rogers. So I don't know, but I have heard that he's showing up, and all of a sudden, you're right. You know, at one point it was 5 wide receivers. Now it's like 5 tight ends. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all good, viable options.
They're all prospects. Like, the only bad thing is they're all like in that developmental stage right now. Right. Hodges, Rogers, AGG, Sammys, they're all having to learn. Well, I'm taking out Sammys for right now. They're all having to learn to be a blocker as well. Like, you know, so that's kind of interesting. But then the one we don't know about it is Samus. Yeah. He spent a whole year learning how to block. We never featured him as a receiver. No. We don't know what's there. You know, it's like all of a sudden this tight end group has gotten really excited.
And it makes you think, it makes you wonder what they're going to do, because obviously you're not going to be able to hold 5-6 wide receivers and also 5-6 tight ends. Yeah. So it makes you think where they're going to have to cut some guys. And, you know, maybe this tight end spot, you know, might be more relevant, you know, especially if we have a running game going. But my question is, with this point of having all these tight ends, you know, the odd man out right now, and, you know, to no fault of his own, but to the injury, Logan Thomas. You know, one of the things that Nate said on the show that I hadn't heard before he said it was that Logan Thomas could potentially be, after June 1st, somebody that you would, you know, move on from. And I'm like, you know, we just signed him. You know, he is such a force with his size and his, you know, catch rates, everything that we're saying about a lot of these other guys, and he's proven. So is that an option? I didn't think it was at all, but I mean,
I can't see that. I mean, Logan Thomas is head and shoulders are tight end one.
That's what I
think, because he knows how to do. He can block and run routes. He can do it all. And I think all these guys are nice pieces to develop, but I don't think you could get rid of him and you know, promote the others. But what could very well be a possibility is Logan Thomas starts the season on the PUP list, and he's not around the first couple weeks. So he may not be around because he's recovering from his ACL that he had so late. So we may be forced to play more of a Bates Turner type tandem there. But I don't think you want to get rid of him just yet. I think he's going to be a valuable part.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I was saying. He's the only real. I mean, Bates has a year, you know, a year under his belt. He's the only real veteran guy that we have. You know, you need somebody like that to kind of show the younger guys what he has, and he's kind of established. You know, you want him on the field. So, I
mean, our offense took a big dive when he got hurt.
Yes, it did.
I mean, there was, you know, that that was pretty tough.
Yeah. Yeah, people forget how important he was in, you know, that 2020 season. You know, we look at that Steelers game, that first third down, he had that huge, like, kind of twisting catch that really kind of set the tone, in my opinion, that, hey, we're here to stay, and we can play with you guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, I mean, look, there's a lot of stuff that has been going on. A lot of people that have really been trying to make a name for themselves right now. I'm excited to see what kind of transpired as we get into minicamp and everything like that. Sure. But we do have to ask the question, because there are people that have not been there. So I mean, you know, how important are OTAs? You know, and should they be, should we be concerned if some players don't attend? And we're going to get into, obviously the notable players. Terry McLaurin, is not there, but even Daron Payne is kind of, on his 5th year option, not happy. He's notably not happy. So how important is this? Should we really hold these guys accountable, or could it be, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Lamar, and some of those guys aren't going to OTAs? Are people crying about that? So how important is it if they're not there, or are OTAs in general?
Right. This is like the every year debate, because some team always has something for that. It's like, I think they're important. I think you could be teaching stuff. There's bonding going on. There's value in it. Yeah. But you can't. I have a really hard time believing that if someone misses something in May and June, they're so far behind when it comes to training camp and the regular season that it can't be made up. Right. Like I said, it is great to be back there, but is it really all that detrimental?
Right.
That's perfect.
Voluntary.
It's voluntary. Yep. It's like They're good, they're nice, but I don't know. I don't think they're that big a deal. What about you?
Right. No, I absolutely agree. I do. I mean, for somebody like the situation of Carson, yes, I definitely think you need to be there because you're learning a new system. You're getting to know the players, the rookies, all the new guys. Nate made it a point when we did the show with him, I and Nick, that it's like the first day of school. You meet your teachers, you meet your classmates, you meet all the new people. So for them, yes. But for some of these guys that have been around, some of these guys that have played, they know the system. I don't have a problem with them because of the fact it is voluntary, and a point that one of the things Nate was saying is that, especially when it comes to quarterbacks, we don't know what these guys have been doing outside of, what's being broadcast and, what's being written about. These quarterbacks are working with their receivers, day in and day out from the end of the season up until around this time. So to kind of get that chemistry. So we need to stop kind of judging these guys if they're not. I don't want to go to OT. Hey, come on now. There's more important things. Once we get the mini camp, training camp, that type of stuff, you're still holding out. Okay, now I'm concerned because once you do get in, we've had a number of times where guys get in there without doing that, and then it takes you half the year to get your legs under you.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's not that big of a deal, in my opinion, man. But I understand it. I understand these guys not doing it because Terry's not. And amid all these contract issues, this is our leader. And he has said from day one, he said, I came in day one. I've done everything I've been asked. I've kept my nose down. I'm first one there, last one to leave. A lot of guys, it's like, oh, do you pay him? This guy deserves every dime that he gets. Sure. What are we waiting on? Like, what's going on, Will?
What if we're not the ones waiting? What if Terry's the one that's waiting?
Ooh.
So let's think about this. If you're the agent for Terry McLaurin, let's take off our fan hat. Okay. You've had Dwayne Haskins, Alex Smith, Kyle Allen. You've had Taylor Heineke and Ryan Fitzpatrick throw to you.
Yeah.
Now you got Carson Wentz, who is on his 3rd team in 3 years. Are you advising your client to sign a 5-year deal with this organization?
No.
Or are you saying,
be realistic,
look at the market right now. The market is rich.
Yeah.
You don't need to. You just do what you do, and you're going to get paid, and we can go somewhere else, and we can dictate. So that's the only thing where I'm kind of like I'm not getting worried right now because, I have heard that they're far apart, on negotiations and who knows if that can get shrunk and I would love to see something get a deal get done. But from a business side of it, I don't blame Terry one bit if he says,
no.
I need to see how Carson performs. Right.
Oh yeah.
Because this is my next contract is my generational wealth contract.
Right.
And I also want to be playing with somebody that's going to put me in a good position to help my numbers, And so I don't blame him one bit for saying, I'm not coming to OTAs and risking injury. I'm sure he'll be there at minicamp. He may not be a full participant in minicamp, but he'll be there, because like you said, he does deserve a contract extension.
Yeah.
And I hope at some point, once this stuff settles, they can sit down and talk a little bit. But I don't blame him one bit.
No.
What about you?
No, not at all. I mean, over the last several years, he's averaged 75 catches a season, over about 1,000 yards, and about 5 touchdowns a year. Consistent from day one. He has been that guy. It's true. It's like you said. His agent, they're sitting back, and the market dictates, the contracts of these players. You see the Tyreek Hill. You see Christian Kirk. You know what I mean? You see, these guys, Juju Smith-Schuster, all getting paid. Devontae Adams. These guys are getting paid. He is well worth it, and that is the absolute elephant in the room. We don't have somebody that is a legit Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, somebody that we could say, okay, he's coming. All right, I'll come back for that. There has not been any consistency, and all the while, Terry has still been loyal and doing everything in his power for this organization. When, let's be honest, there were some times last year where we know Heineke threw him out to dry. That toss in that Cowboys game where he tried to throw up in triple coverage and he about near broke his back. No, you're absolutely right. He does not want to deal with all that. And you're right. You're Terry, bro. You let them come to you and get the best offer you can get, because you absolutely deserve it, man. And but the thing is, he is next in line. You know what I mean? You have DK Metcalf, you have Debo. Both of these guys are on that list trying to get it. Terry's up there in there. And then AJ Brown gets paid in Philly. You know what I mean? And then right after June 1, which was the time that everybody thought that he was going to potentially get paid, because, hey, once then, June 1, the money comes off the books for Landon Collins and all that. So the money is freed up. There you go. Let's pay him. Don't know the hesitation. And then Cooper Kupp gets the extension. And it's like, I mean, come now. Oh, my goodness. But you might be absolutely right. It might be him sitting there saying, let's just, let it go. Like,
why sign on June 9th?
Yeah.
When on July 16th, the market may be even higher. Yeah. Like you said, I mean, people got ticked off when Christian Kirk got $22 million a year by the Jaguars.
Right.
The general managers were like, "You sons of, why did you do that to us?"
Keep going up.
Right, because it just, what at one point, I think Washington was probably thinking, all right, it's going to be 20 to 22 million for Terry. And that's kind of team friendly, but giving him something. And now it's like, well, 22 million ain't going to get it done. We got to start at 25.
Right.
And another month from now, we may be getting closer. These wide receiver contracts are getting as outrageous as the quarterbacks.
Right.
So almost the kind of wait and see approach for Terry is not the worst one in the world.
Right. And at the end of the day, when you get these guys contracts, part of it kind of comes to how valuable you are to that team. And let's be very honest, without him, the offense really doesn't move. Yeah,
you know problems.
I mean? Right. So he could definitely be like, oh, no, y'all gonna pay me because you need me. I don't need you.
Correct.
So yeah,
Correct.
Washington. Let's hopefully let's get Terry. Hopefully let's bring him in. Get him into the fold, get him in for mini camp and all that. But I do have to be honest, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said this might have been kind of a blessing in disguise, because we have gotten a lot of other guys that have gotten a lot more attention now because of his absence, and I think that could be very huge. I think that could be huge. Did want to address really quick Daron Payne as well. Fadarius Mathis has been showing signs of really having skill and big playability, and it makes you wonder. Jonathan Allen already taken care of. Daron Payne is on his 5th-year option. Ain't too happy about it. He's kind of he's been telling folks. So what are we doing with this? Because you talk about things like Jack Del Rio, locker room issues. We don't want this to be a disgruntled guy that might rear its ugly head later in the season.
Right. Yeah, I mean, the thing with Daron is, what is he going to do? He's not going to fetch much of return right now for the team to even consider saying, oh, are you not happy you don't have an extension? Why don't we trade you?
Right.
You know, and he needs to play this year to get a better contract. He's a good player, but he doesn't put up the numbers to get big money. You know, whereas like Jonathan Allen got close to like 75 million. But Jonathan Allen, there were stats behind him of, number 3 D tackle in pressures. You know, I think he led the team in sacks the year before. So there's stuff to back it up that Daron Payne doesn't have. You know, so he kind of is in that position where, I get it. I don't fault him. His buddy just got paid, got an extension, and he's sitting here having to play out the last year of his deal. He's allowed to be upset. I understand it. But let's also look at what he's doing. He is showing up at OTAs.
Exactly. He
may not be doing some of the team drills, but he's showing up. He's working out. He's in the meetings. So I don't know necessarily that you got a locker room issue with him right now. Like I said, we can all acknowledge, you're pissed that you didn't get the extension, that the team is waiting to figure out what they're going to do. You have every right to be pissed about that, but you're still coming here to play. Right. And you need us just as much so that you can go get paid, whether it's by us or elsewhere. So I think it's going to work itself out.
Yeah. Yeah. And let's hope so, because that could be a nice little 3-pack in there with Jonathan Allen, him, Daron Payne, and then you have Fadarius Mathis coming in. And then, we're hearing the things about, Casey Toohill. We're hearing things about Smith Williams. Some of these other guys on the edge are going to help Montez Sweat and Chase Young. And it's kind of like, okay, this is that D line that everybody was supposed to be fearing. Right. You know what I mean? So you want to hope that we can get the job done and that we can work it all out and go the farthest away from what happened in that Cowboys game on the sidelines where they're sitting there. Because that frustration was not with what's on the field. It's with everything that's going on, man. So, let's hopefully we can get these guys under contract, but we will see, man. Right. We will see. We'll see how that and I mean, definitely want it real quick. I mean, is there trouble in the water? I don't believe so, but if we don't get this stuff done, there's potential.
Yeah, and I'm still leaning to, I would put money down that come training camp, Terry, or come the start of the season, Terry has a new contract.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, they recognize they need him.
Yeah.
And I think they'll eventually pay him.
Yeah. That's what Nathan said. He agrees. He said they will sign Terry and they will sign Payne.
Payne? Really?
Wow. Huh. Which one do you think we got? But
it's a lot of money.
Unless you're the daggone Rams, and you have all the money in the daggone world. So, but yeah, we are going to go ahead and move on because one of the things, on the field, obviously we have stuff off the field that we have different issues. But one of the issues that we've had is our stadium. We're trying to get in the stadium, as you've seen, ladies and gentlemen, as we've all seen, we've been the butt of everybody's jokes. The sewage leakage in the stadium, the railings fell off, almost trampled Jalen Hurts.
Fan takeovers.
I mean, yeah. We are the lowest. We're the second worst home attendance, second only to guess who? My baby's Detroit Lions. So that's not good company.
That household, man. You guys have some very lonely falls.
Oh yes.
For football.
How bad did you lose today? Oh yeah. Oh, that much. Oh, you lost at the last second. Oh yeah. Back and forth. But so there are talks about it. Obviously, we heard they put the $100 million into getting the plot of land. They're looking at Virginia. They're looking at a stadium. There have been conversations about it. Obviously, a 55,000 seat stadium, which would be a little less than RFK.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean?
It would be.
A smaller stadium, but when you see kind of the side, that we're the second worst in home attendance, well, okay, let's get it. It's looking interesting. I'm going to go ahead and put this up. This is kind of early mocks. Obviously, this is not what it would be. Well, who knows? We'll see what it looks like. But it looks kind of, I like the dynamic. And one of the things they're looking at is making it kind of like a little city where you have other different events and venues around there that you can come in there, and then you can use the stadium for what, like the Super Bowl or different championships or this and that. So let's start right there with the opportunity, the option to have this. Some of these things look actually pretty nice. It'd be pretty intriguing to have that. What do you think?
Yeah, let's start with some positive news for
Right,
them.
before we
Right.
right.
Yeah. So they've got the right idea of they're going to put it in it's going to be a dome. Okay. So that means you're going to be eligible for a Super Bowl, which is going to bring in revenue. The other thing is, I actually support this idea that the stadium's going to be 55,000 or even like maybe a little less.
Yeah.
I think the gone are the days of these 80,000, seat stadiums because technology has changed.
Yeah.
And the big critic of Jack Kent Cooke when he built that stadium in Landover is the fact that he modeled it off of Giants Stadium, who they were already building a new stadium, and we modeled a brand new stadium off of it. It was an old concept. And so I think this is smart that they're saying, hey, not just because we struggle with fans, but because we see where the game's going and people are watching at bars and on TV, or at some point they're just going to be watching on their phones, maybe. Everything's mobile. And so going to the game and spending that much time is becoming less and less of a priority for people, and so that's important. And like you said, what they're looking to do is build this little city. They're essentially copying what happened in Dallas. And Dallas went way out into the suburbs as well to build up. And the name is escaping me. It's because it's even past Plano, I believe, in Dallas. So it's pretty far out there. But they built headquarters. They built condos and apartments nearby. There's shops, there's restaurants. And so this would be a place where it's not just Ron Rivera and the team out there practicing. It's where they can have their training camp. But you could do, what the Cowboys do is they host every high school championship is at their place. It's indoors. It's climate controlled. The games never get rained out. Every high school in that area, it has their graduation there. You think about how they've moved off going to in each school's football stadiums, they all go to George Mason. You could go to this location if it's in Virginia, Exactly. So there's more ways to get people. They recognize the concept of, if you're going to build this, it has to be more than 10 times a year. It's a place people go to, because FedEx sits empty and that land is empty for so many days out of the year. Yeah. It's a waste. It makes sense why people are saying, don't hike up my taxes for this. Right. It's got to be a destination. It's got to be that Reston Town Center with a football stadium. Yep. And if you can hold concerts there, pull some of that from the Verizon Center, or if you pull some of that from the Jiffy Lube Live place. And again, it's indoors. And so you can make sure the concert happens. There's a lot of positive there. So we've got the right idea. Now the problem is where and how are they going to get it done?
and that's the big question about it. To one of the positives, it would create, almost 23,000 jobs. Like, it would create a lot of jobs, and that's nice. But the traffic in the area that they're discussing putting it in is that's not going to accommodate that at all. So it's quite interesting to try to figure out if they would try to do it. I've heard that they're looking at potentially Springfield now, and then obviously no, I can't. I'm sorry, my mind is blocked by traffic because I went through some of it today around Springfield. Sure. It's kind of like no. If you bring a stadium out here, and especially with what they're trying to bring with the city, that's going to be constant flowing traffic outside of that, and you just
I know, and you really got to think almost got to think they don't love their options right now either. What's really ironic is, for as much as he was loved, Jack Kent Cooke had the hardest time getting land for a stadium as well.
Oh, wow.
Because he wanted to build out in Arlington on what they used to call the Potomac Yards, these old railroad areas, and that's where he really wanted to put it, right over the river. And Virginia eventually said no. and he had no chance in DC. DC's like, get out. So he had to go to the only place that would give him some money, which was Landover, Maryland. You know, and at that time when he built it, people, you know, you think we're complaining about Springfield and how far away that is in Dumfries. People, when that first was announced, the stadium will be in PG County, people were like, what? That's not DC. What are you doing? And then you look at a map and it's really only just outside DC. It's not that far. But he had trouble too. So getting a football stadium is it's been a challenge. And I gotta think that they too are looking at this saying that these, you know, Springfield can't be the best option. There's not the metro out there that, you know, it is too congested. I think they'd love to build it back in DC, but DC is saying no. Yeah. And as much as all the fans want it back at RFK's site, DC is saying absolutely not. They're saying no to Dan Snyder, but they're also saying that's not what this neighborhood needs. We don't need a stadium. We need something more. We need economic development that will help the people around here with shops and restaurants and making our area better, building up the value of our land, not putting a stadium on here. So that's not an option, you know? And so, I mean, I still kind of think that the Loudoun area still may be where they're looking at, you know, with all the metro coming, that might help with some traffic, but it's not easy. Although I will say this, something to think about. We think that there's this deadline of 2027 because that's when the lease runs out at FedEx. But I ask you this: what is Prince George's County going to do with that land? Who's this? Right? They're not going to flip it so quickly that they're ready to tear that thing down. RFK Stadium is still standing. Yep, and nothing's been in there for at least 10 years, if not more. You know, so it's not like, oh my gosh, if they don't get this built in 3 years, we're going to have no place to stay. We're going to have to go play at Nats Park. We're going to have to go play at Herndon High School for some games. You know, it's like, it's not like they're going to have nowhere to go. They can lease back the land to PG County to utilize it while they figure this out. And then the whole thing might be is, do they just end up having to build right there as well, where there's already a concrete jungle and they can build something. Yeah.
And that, you know, it makes you think. But one of the issues, because there has been a little bit of holdup, you know, there has been, you know, in Congress, in those things. But one of the issues that they cited is what we talked about before, like with Landover, the public reaction has really been underwhelming. People don't want it. You know what I mean? And a lot of the people that I've asked or I've talked to, or, you know, you've talked to me, the thing you can't escape is the traffic. Traffic is already bad now. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when you add it on, I mean, you're from this area, you know what it's like. So you add it on, and they're trying to do everything they can with, you know, 28 and in the Greenway and the toll roads and everything, like 66 from DC to DC border all the way to Tyson's, from like 9 to 5 is now toll all the way. You know what I mean? And they're trying to do all those to help. But again, like you said, people are like, look, I don't want my tax dollars to going to this or that. They don't want that. And now it's you talked about it, and I'm going to come back to you. You know, we talked about, you know, maybe not potentially getting the votes right now or right away, and now all of a sudden this was supposed to be a $3 billion, you know, thing to manufacture, and we might not even be getting all that funded. They might even be putting all that funds up for that. You know, this whole conversation might be a moot point. So
it is.
You know, talk to me about that, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's all speculation right now, and it's one of those things where, kind of like when Cook had problems, everyone wants a new stadium, just not in my backyard.
Right.
Is exactly, that's the whole area's mentality. Oh yeah, you need a new stadium. No, don't put it back where I live. Here. No, I don't want that traffic. You know, so that's the challenge. Now, the issue that they had was, at some point, Virginia was the front runner, because Virginia had said that they're going to put some money there because they're seeing it from land development, from getting housing revenue. So they're like, you know, this could be something for us. However, Dan Snyder is not good business.
No.
And Jack Del Rio isn't helping things when he says what he says. And so last week, the Virginia Assembly said, we think we're going to vote on this later, which means, because they're making their budget for next year. And they're, you know, it's like, do they allocate a certain amount into a stadium fund, and they said, we think we're going to hold off on this. We'll reconvene in about a week or two, which basically means they didn't have the yes votes. That's why they didn't want to quote it. And then all of a sudden today, the Virginia Assembly said, not this year. We are like, they got squashed. Yeah. So the Commanders have no money from Virginia now, and which in all honesty, they probably need to put a product on the field to try and change people's mindsets. Winning is going to change things. It could change things, because right now Dan Snyder is at the lowest of the low of his ownership, and ain't nobody going to give him money, and nor does he deserve it. But maybe if you win a little bit, maybe people start feeling good and they go, oh yeah, that was pretty fun this fall. That run was kind of fun. That January game when we beat Dallas at home, that was kind of fun. So that may help them out a little bit.
Yeah, and Nathan, sounds like the Orioles fiasco right now.
Well, yeah.
So yeah, and that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, is that they do not want to deal with Dan Snyder. Why, you may ask, ladies and gentlemen? Well, might have a little bit to do with the fact that the House Committee has invited him and Roger Goodell to speak on June 22nd. Now, this is not just a little play date. It actually, they actually invited him, saying it's in your best interest to come and tell your side of the story, because, and I quote, there is a hostile workplace culture in Washington. Dan Snyder may finally be heading to the gallows, finally get what's been coming, because this has been long overdue. Yeah. Obviously, we've seen a number of the complaints and the allegation levied against him and the organization. We've seen what he's tried to do to get around it. But with this recent allegation from one of the members of the organization, Miss Tiffany Johnson, she's the last one to put out an allegation towards him. It's getting to the point where it cannot be overlooked. Now the Congress has got involved. Is there any hope? We keep bringing this up. There's always something else. There's always this. We got to the point we call him Teflon Dan. But now this is the Congress. He's going up in front of Congress. I mean, we have different representatives. Jackie Spears from California saying that it's a sordid cesspool in Washington. That people don't want to, like we were saying with the stadium, they don't want to associate with that. They're not trying to do business where they already know things are corrupt and openly that way. So, is there any, I don't want to say hope, but hope in this?
So I'm going to start off with some positive news.
Okay.
The good thing is this keeps him in the news for bad light.
Yeah.
It's not good for you and me. It's not good for the football part of things, but it's like, Dan can't get this to go away. You're darn right. No, you can't get this to go away. It's not going away.
Right.
But is this going to matter right now? Is there hope for this, Sean? I'm going to tell you there's not. Because right now going on behind us is a January 6th hearing because people in Congress ignored subpoenas.
Yeah.
Subpoenas are a mandate for you to show up, and they ignored them. And so they're having to do hearings because people wouldn't even listen to subpoenas. This committee has invited, they used the term inviting, Dan Snyder and Roger Goodell. They didn't subpoena them. It's not required. They would like for them, they're going to bring this up again and talk, and they would like to hear their side of the story. So Roger ain't showing up, and Dan's not showing up.
Yeah. Yeah,
maybe a representative will be there, but thank you, Nathan.
Right.
Damn well neither one of these two men are going to sit there in front of Congress and get yelled at by. They got bigger pride than that. The other thing is, this is what they're going to do. They're playing the long game, the waiting game, because some of those Congressmen and women that you listed, they're all Democrats. All right, and the idea is, if you wait till November, if the House flips, Republicans have already said one of the first things they're going to do is they're going to take this committee and they're going to cut it and say, you're done. So Dan and Roger are just going to, if Dan himself is just going to play the waiting game, and he's going to stall and stall and stall because he's waiting for November's elections, And Roger Goodell, it keeps coming back to the whole thing like, dude, what more do y'all need to do? Because this can't be good for business. It can't be, but until he acts, until the owners act, it's false hope. He is Teflon Dan.
Yeah. And I mean, look, there's no two ways about it. We already know he must, like what my buddy said, he must know where all the bodies are hidden.
Yeah.
He knows all the information on all of them, but you're absolutely right. They can play the waiting game and they can just bypass all of this. It stinks because, like you said, it's in the news. So we're continually getting that bad media and that bad coverage on him. But what's really being done? Right. You know what I mean? And as long as we're still in this predicament, well,
right.
Hopefully, we'll
it should be. I mean, for all moral purposes, there's no reason he's still in charge of this franchise. But morals ain't running it.
No, not at all. So we shall see, and we will definitely bring that to you. It's June 22nd. So we will definitely be we'll definitely be reporting on that because we want to know if at all if there is anything, or if by that deadline comes and goes, and like you said, they're just waiting it out. They know this is not really anything of importance, or it's not going to be held that way. So look, there is still stuff going on, ladies and gentlemen. There's stuff going on in Washington. OTAs is here. Mini camp is coming up. There's stories to be talked about. And as long as Washington Football Weekly is here, we will talk about those stories, ladies and gentlemen. We will bring that stuff to you. And, we absolutely appreciate you being here with us. Before we go, I did want to say around this time of the year, people are graduating from high school and going off to college. Wanted to shout out a couple people real quick. Our dear friend of my fiance, somebody that works with her, Kristen K. McCullough, her son Chase just graduated. Will be attending the University of Alabama.
Ooh,
Crimson Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, this fall. So congratulations to that. I want to shout out one of the ladies I used to work with, Miss Jermaine Henderson. Her daughter Ashley graduated. Moving on. And one of the young guys that I taught when I used to teach kindergarten, Mr. Anthony Burgess. I've seen this man grow. He was rough. He was rough. He had some rough edges in the beginning, but I've seen him grow, and it's actually a funny story. So when he was in kindergarten and preschool all the way through kindergarten, he went to Mount Pleasant Christian Academy where I taught, and I was. At that point, he was this really cute little small baby, and everybody used to baby him and like, oh, you're so cute, you're so small. Yeah. And so it got to the point where he kind of started realizing how it played. So he started, get a little edgy, how kids get. Yeah. Right. So I was at that point, I was the discipline guy. I was the man, I came into the classroom and you're coming out the classroom with me. So he would see me a lot because, he would start to act up a while. Yeah. Got to the point where right before he left school, him and I would be hanging out all the time because he would have some stuff going on. Ended up going to Buzz Aldrin, Catherine's school, Buzz Aldrin Elementary. Yeah. And Catherine ended up working with him and was only one of the only people that was able to calm him down. And like her and Kristen helped to really change the whole persona and this whole thing.
Small world.
Exactly. It was amazing because it was funny. We went to Herndon Festival one of the last times they had it. And so he saw her and he was like, oh, man, Miss Hughes. He gave her a hug and everything. And I was behind her and I came around and he saw me and immediately stepped back and said, Mr. Spencer. I said, Anthony. That's right. Hey, you remember. We're good. We're good.
That's awesome.
So congratulations. It's crazy, man. We're 38, 39.
I know.
Going on 40. And seeing kids that we've seen them all the way through and going all the way to this age now, going off to college, being a young adult, it's absolutely amazing. I want to wish all of you the best. Keep your head up, keep striving, keep, going.
moving and grooving. Keep eyes on the prize, man.
Yeah.
And enjoy
Fun times
it.
ahead.
Enjoy it.
Yep.
Yes. Not too much, but enjoy it. No doubt. Yeah, buddy. Hey, Will, man, always fun, man. Absolutely always fun. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and leave you here. We appreciate all the people that have been watching, all the people that sat here and joined us today and talked with us. We will definitely be back with you. Stay tuned for all the other stuff that we have coming in the near future. We're going to leave you with our guy, one of the original hosts of Washington Football Weekly, Mr. Anton Benton. His business has been growing, ladies and gentlemen. And, so we're going to give the old commercial, but there's going to be a new one coming up. Hey, I'm Sean Spencer. You see this guy here, South Carolina's finest, Mr. Will Kramer, baby. All right, man. We will see you next time. Peace.
Hey there, ladies and gents. It's your local handyman, Anton Benton, here to help you with your problems. I'm here right now on the job site, taking out whole kitchen cabinets. A little bit more work to do, but if you got a project at your house that you need to get completed, I'm your guy to finish it up for you. Give me a call, let me know what you need to get done.
Your new company, man. Shout out to your new company. Go ahead and tell the world about your new company real quick.
Oh boy. So marketing Anton Benton Pros.
Yes.
Doing everything from plumbing to electrical to making huge decks to doing closets.
Yes.
Doing it all.
That's what's up, man. I'm super happy
Thank
for
you guys. Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
I am Janae Strother.
I'm Sean Spencer.
We are back.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen.
I got to go out and hold up.
Come on. The lion. The lion. New man on the so fine. Kirk Cousins.
All right.